presentation over the few years that I've been doing, and I like to always add and take away some stuff or add some names or do something different. So if you've seen it before, a lot of the root is the same, but there might be some different mana'o. So just so you all know, we split the presentation into two. Normally it's a 2-hour presentation. So we're going to go through the first few slides, and I will ask maybe if Malia can monitor chat, because when I'm sharing, I don't get to see the chat, or if people have questions, please feel free to ask the questions. Let's see. All right. So I want to introduce myself. Inoa Ho, Hailama V.K.K, Farden. And I wanted to share with you that that picture there is me when I was a baby being held by my grandfather who's watching. And I didn't know he was going to be watching today, but giving my aloha to him. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about my name. But before that, you know, the Olelo no Eau, the name lives. Ola Ka Inoa said when a name of a beloved relative is given to a child. So as we take the names we have, we grow into representing those names, and we have that responsibility, kuleana, to uphold those names. When I was born, my name was Vance Hailama Farden, and my first name Vance was given to me by my mother, and my understanding was because she liked the name. Hailama, I was named after an uncle, my grandmother's uncle on my paternal grandmother's side, and his name was Uncle Hailama from Maui. And Farden, well, I'll tell a little bit more about that in a few seconds. It's a made-up last name, and we'll get into that in just a moment. But the story of my name and how it evolved to what it is legally now, which is Hailama V.K.K Farden, is because one day in 1990, I was sitting at, I remember it well, Elena's Filipino restaurant in Hawaii with my paternal grandmother, Harriet Farden. And she said, you know, your name is not supposed to be Hailama. And I said, what? And she said, yeah, it's supposed to be Kiha Pi'imani. And I wanted to name you after my favorite uncle, Uncle Kiha. But because Uncle Hailama named me, this is my grandmother talking, I felt the obligation to name you after him. And I'm happy because I like Uncle Hailama too. But I'm telling you this so one day you change your name and you add it to your name. So why this is important is because some people feel that there should be so I got a text from Keiki Lani that he cannot hear. So just checking if it was an old text or is the sound still an issue?
Here on Zoom, can you guys let us know if you can hear, or even on Facebook, I'm monitoring that too. Yep, they're saying they can hear you.
Okay, and I'll try to speak a little closer to my phone. The reason I was saying that it's important is because Hawaiians believe if a name was destined for you, it needs to be a part of you. So you have to accept it if it's your kuleana. And so my grandmother's telling me this. Oh, good. I got a text from him. He can hear now. My grandmother's telling me to add this name to my names. And when I am in the process of making that change after this, I go to by the way, I also was having problems with Kamehameha schools and Kamehameha Federal Credit Union, both insisting that when I signed things, I had to sign it Vance Farden, even though I've always signed my signature V. Hailama Farden. That was my legal signature. So Kamehameha schools at that time, as well as I was employed there, as well as I still am, as well as the bank, they were telling me I had to sign Vance Farden. So I got really upset about that, telling me how to use my name. So what I did was I started the process of changing my name. When I did so, I went to my grandfather, and that is his name, Kingichi. Now, he always tells me to put the okina between the N and the I. This is a pure Japanese man, but he knows the okina because he worked with Mrs. Pukui for years, and he was the one who set typeset the first 3 Hawaiian dictionaries to Kawena Pukui. And he said you should put the okina or the glottal because I don't want you to call yourself Kenichi. It's Kenichi, which means a healthy one. So I went to him and asked him if I could have his name. And my grandfather, in I would say a typical grandfather way, didn't really respond, said okay. When it was legalized, I went to him and showed him the legal document. And he didn't say anything, but stood up and walked to the bedroom. And I thought, now how do I receive this? Is he upset? He walked away from me. So he comes back with 2 Japanese writing books, small books, one of which he even has still on his table today, on his coffee table. And then he says, now I'm going to show you your kanji. So I realized that was his way of saying that it was okay that I have his name to show me the kanji. And then so anyway, I want to share that with you. So Hailama is from Uncle Hailama, whose name was Jesse Hiram. It used to be Jesse Hailama, and they changed it to English to Jesse Hailama. And then Vance was my mother, given to me by my mother. So when I changed my name, I didn't want to dishonor that, so I kept it and just put it on the inside. Kiha Pi'ilani was from my uncle Kiha Pi'ilani Mo'okini, and he was married to my aunt. And then Kenichi is my grandfather's name. Farden is a made-up name. I had a great-great-grandfather who came here. His name was Christophe Jardin. And when he came here, he legally he wrote his name as Farden. I saw his signature. It was a clear F. So he was probably purposely writing an F. And so we've been known as the Fardens. And from Lahaina, Maui, that's where our name comes from. So that's to tell you my background in my Inoa and where that comes from. So I'll check in. If not, I'll move on. If there's any other questions, I'll move on.
No, I think we're good.
Okay. So, Ovaiko Inoa. Basically, a lot of you speak Hawaiian understand that Ovaiko Inoa doesn't ask you what is your name. It asks you who is your name, because your name is who you are. And I kind of gave you some examples. A good funny example I like to tell people, I was always very, very, very skinny, like a stick. As soon as I legally took on my grandfather's name, Kenichi, which is healthy one, I got really robust. At one point, well over 300 pounds. And I'm now down from that. But anyway, who is your name tells you. We all have a last name that connects us to somebody. And we'll talk a little bit more about that during Inoa Kuamuamu. It is your most valuable possession. No one can make you feel bad about your name without you allowing it. That's kind of like what Eleanor Roosevelt said. No one can make you feel bad without your permission. It's your most valuable possession. You should cherish it and honor it. I've heard people throughout my lifetime say, oh, I hate that name, so I got rid of it. You notice what I did with my name? Although I didn't hate Vance, and that's my name, I just enveloped it and put it in my name, but I had to show Kamehameha schools and Kamehameha Federal Credit Union that I'm going to sign Hailama Farden whether you like it or not, so I made it legal. There is no gender in Hawaiian names, although today it would be really, I see some people would think it awkward if you named your child what some people consider a boy's name, Ikaika, but it's not. A woman can have the name Ikaika. A male can have the name Pua Nani. Look at Pua Almeida is a great example, a famous musician and singer, and his name was Pua. There's no gender in Hawaiian names, so there are names that we can share, and it's only the Western culture that has taught us that, oh, this John is this, and I've met women whose name was George, and I think men whose name were Mary. So I guess that once was true. And you cannot just take a name because you like it. So, I like Malia. She's such a sweet person, so I'm going to name my child after Malia without even asking her. That's not your kuleana, because it's her most valuable possession. So we have to remember our place. And a lot of folks were doing this sometimes with ali'i names. Oh, I like the mana of this. I want to name my child after this ali'i. That might be appropriate in Western culture and another culture, but in Hawaiian culture, it is not. You should find a way to seek permission By the way, I didn't tell you that when I added the name Kihapi'ilani legally, I went to my aunt, who was my grandmother's first cousin. She was the last living child of Uncle Kihapi'ilani Mo'okini. She was 90 years old. And I asked my Auntie Florence, I explained to her the situation, and I asked her, may I have your father's name? Because this is what my tutu said. And Auntie Florence, she loved Uncle Hailama, so she'd cry when she sees me, and she said, well, every time I see you, I think about Uncle Hailama. So when I asked her for her father's name, she just continued to weep and said, you know, I had 5 boys, and I never named any of them after my dad. I named one David, but not Kihapi'ilani. You take the name. You may have that name. And so I did go and seek permission, even though it was in my own family. Mm. And then, you know, there's another part of our culture where some folks are given Inoa, and it didn't work out for them, or the baby got really ill, and some folks had the wisdom to say it's the name. So there's a process called oki. Now, I've seen oki applied in a couple of ways. One was because the child was sick, and I'll tell you about that as we get down to names. Might be next week, Tuesday's part 2 of this presentation. But there's also times where a person gave a person a name and felt that they dishonored the giver or the name, and they took the name back. So maybe they didn't do it legally, but they did it symbolically. So that's oki. That's a part of our culture too. And oki, of course, means to cut. Okay, next slide will be, so this is my mentor when it comes to Inoa. Harriet Daisy Kawal'ala Nāpua Stevens-Piore. She was born in Hawaii, August 31st, 1918, and she passed away on January 7, 1990. She was a mana of Ola Hawaii. And when I grew up among the Farden aunties, and you know, the Farden family, there were 13 siblings. 2 passed away before they were 18. And of the 11, I always thought Auntie Nāpua was one more of them, because she was always among our family, always with us. So I never knew she wasn't related by blood to us, or she may be distantly, but I didn't know she wasn't one of the aunties that I had among me as a child. So Auntie Nāpua, because I was very, some would say precocious, some would be maha'oi or niele, I always asked a lot of questions as a child. So I felt very close to Auntie Nāpua. She was a professional radio personality, TV host. She had her own cooking show, and my German grandmother, who was married to my grandfather's watching, had a show too, a cooking show, and she did it with Auntie Nāpua. She was a recording artist. Some of my, you know, a lot of you don't know, she's the first to record Beyond the Reef. Pretty Red Hibiscus is another recording of her that I love, and Lay of Memories. But Auntie Nāpua, she learned from her kūpuna the mores of giving Inoa. And so she shared with me, and I spent hours on the phone with her. I remember when I was 16, I asked my tutu for a speakerphone. That was something new for Christmas, and I got it. So I could talk to kūpuna in Hawaiian and English as I was learning my Hawaiian and practice. And I spent hours. Even my grandfather used to call him and ask him Japanese, because he's a monolith of Japanese, so I would learn words and from him, and we watched sumo wrestling, and he would translate for me because they didn't have the lepe urui at that time. But I loved my speakerphone, so I would speak for hours. And one day my tutu came in, and she's, who are you talking to? I said, oh, Auntie Nāpua. She goes over my head and she said, Harriet, just hang up. This boy too niele. You know, and I didn't realize that her name was Harriet, which is my tutu's name, and they were very close too. So Auntie Nāpua was so patient, and she talked and shared so much. Sometimes we only talk about little trust, because she was a trustee. Sometimes we talk about Kamehameha Day, but often we talked about her name giving. And some of the things she shared with me was when her kūpuna would talk to her, I think it was her tutukane would talk to her about Inoa, that he said, you know, all of these things that the kūpuna would tell, all these things I'm teaching you, you may not remember today, but as you need them, they will come. And I heard all of this, you know, and I'm sad that I didn't put a tape recorder next to that speaker and just record her. Auntie Nāpua was very strict about some things. for example, you didn't tell her, I want to preserve something, she would say, you mean like jelly? She would often, correct you if you didn't say manauea correctly. It's not manauea, it's manauea. So I appreciated learning from her. She talked to me a lot about the process of giving names and the breathing of ha. So in one story she talked about is to pass the ha is to pass that gift over. And maybe it occurred when the kūpuna was ready to pass on this gift. Maybe it occurred at the death, and that catching that breath of the kūpuna as they breathed out and exhaled, and they took with them that mana. They became the designated survivor of this art. Auntie Nāpua was that. I will say that she was the last of that traditional practice, at least that I knew of. And I'll tell you a funny story, and it may be appropriate, it may not be, I don't know, but I'm going to share it because what I share with you folks is just what I know. There's probably a whole bunch of other knowledge out there that you all know maybe better than what I'm sharing with you. So I'm only sharing what I know. When Auntie Nāpua had a stroke and she was leaving us, I believe she was in the hospital, and Auntie Irmgard, which was like her tita, her very close friend, she's co-composer. Auntie Irmgard, was lowering her neck, and she decided she needed to. No one was going to take that Auntie Nāpua would die with this gift. So she leaned over and tried to inhale the so she could pass it on to somebody else. I mean, I thought that's so beautiful, this beautiful story. Well, several years ago, not even that long, I want to say maybe 15 years ago, someone told me, Auntie Nāpua may not have given you the ha as she did traditionally, but in all of the mo'olelo that she told you, she extended her ha to you, and you received it. So you should consider that you received that. And I was so honored to think that. I'm not going to say that that's what happened, but it makes me happy. It gives me a happy thought to think about that. I love her. I think of her a lot. I dreamt the other day of her talking to me. That happens often. From the very first time I had an Inoa Ho, it was a woman's voice, and it was her daughter, Kiahi. If you remember Kiahi, how strong she was, and she said, listen here, if you're my mother, and I'll tell you that story. No, I got a story about that. It'll come to the slides, so we're going to move on. I'm also watching time. Okay. Oops. All right, here we go. So some practices of naming, some basic things. Number one, ask. Before you take on a name, because the next one, it says when a name is given, it's pa. So if you give someone a name and you didn't ask it, and you want to name the child the color purple, and it comes out backwards in Hawaiian, you made that child use this, you made it pa as the reverse. The red teacup, and it's the teacup red, that's your fault. So ask. And I don't have to be the one you have to ask. There's people to ask, many folks, and sometimes it's good to ask your own family. And I'll challenge you this. If any of your parents or kūpuna are alive who gave you your names, don't only ask them what it means. Ask them why they gave it to you. It's your possession. It's your own. Find out why. Even your English names. Why did you pick this for me? Ask them. Be mindful of kauna, even if you did not intend to put any kauna in there. It's very cultural to say what might be inferred or understood by someone becomes real. So if you name something, it's like what you put into your mele, haku mele, o'oi kaluahi o kau mele. You are the fire pit of your song. If you put in something and you didn't mean it, others will think that, and that's their fault. But just know that others it'll be the perception. So understand the kauna before you put something, and we'll talk about that why later. We've seen some challenges with Inoa. Names are not puzzle. Please do not try to place a name together. Oh, I want to say the beautiful rainbow that shoots across the sky. That doesn't necessarily sound beautiful in Hawaiian. It sounds beautiful in English, but not in Hawaiian sometimes. So it's not a puzzle. And again, go back to ask somebody. And you don't always have to translate everything into Hawaiian. Some things are beautiful in Japanese. Some things are beautiful in English. And sometimes we need to honor that olelo. So names are not puzzle. Generally, using family names are safe. I say generally, because, for example, in my family that I'll get to when we get to Inoa Kuamuamu, we have a name on my grandmother, my paternal grandmother's side, that we're not to use anymore. It's been okayed from the family. So that wouldn't have be a safe name from my family. But Malia, your family could use that name. I just couldn't. So generally, using family names are safe. We're not sure. Plus, you honor the kupuna by using their name. And you don't have to stick to the 3-name message. Be like me, I have 5. My daughter, well, that's another story. Ask. I'll leave that with you because that's important. Okay, I'm going to the next slide. So these are the type of Inoa that we're going to talk about today and Tuesday. Inoa Kuamuamu, ancestral names. Inoa Ho, omana'o, commemorative names. Inoa Kuamuamu. Well, I've never looked up a translation, but they're fun names. They're also names that sometimes look a little strange to us. We'll talk about that in depth. Inoa Āluli. These are names that you're in the broad daylight or even in your sleep. You hear it called out to you. Inoa hānai or Inoa Po. And these are names that come in when you're sleeping or names that come at night. And then there's Inoa Ho, ailona. Names of there's symbols, there's things that happen, and there's a name for that. And I put Inoa Make question, and we'll talk about that a little bit later because that's a one-time strange thing that happened to me. We'll go on. By the way, there may be others. These are the ones, again, telling you from my perspective and my learning. Inoa Kuamuamu. So you're named after another person. All of us, I think, we all have a name, Inoa Kuamuamu. Your last name is an Inoa Kuamuamu. Even if you're married to someone else and you got their Inoa Hope, their last name, it belongs to their family. Usually, I know that there's some exceptions because I know people who completely give all their names away and created a new name, and that's their right. It's their Inoa. But Inoa Kuamuamu, named after someone else, it's passed down, and it may be from father to son, or grandparent to grandchild, or great, or auntie, or something. Hawaii, Princess Bernice Hawaii Bishop is a great example. Her name, Hawaii, which literally means that the fire is extinguished, comes from her aunt. And so that is a great example of an Inoa Kuamuamu in our history. Many of us carry, besides our last name, carry an Inoa Kuamuamu. And they're usually safe, as I mentioned before, because usually you got the proper kuleana responsibility. I wouldn't take Kamehameha as my name because I'm not related to him. Our family might be connected to his uncle, but not him. So I probably wouldn't dare try that. That's an example. Anyway, of it being safe if it belongs to my family. It also tells you genealogy. A lot of times, and folks, this is something cool out there. We need to teach our children, our haumana, when we ask them to introduce themselves, it's not just their Inoa Moa. They should be introducing their Inoa Moa and their Inoa Ohana, their Inoa Hope. So, for example, when I introduce myself, I don't say Hailama Inoa. I try to always say Hailama Farden Inoa. Because then there's always somebody say, are you related to the Fardens of Lahaina Maui? Now, unless you're trying to hide that, but you need to, it's very Hawaiian to introduce your Inoa Ohana, your family name or your last name, because it connects us. And in Hawaii, we're always wanting to know where you're from, what school you went, all of that kind of cultural background that we have. And by the way, all of this stuff I'm telling you, just because it's the Hawaiian perspective, is not only for Hawaiians. I know non-Hawaiians, like my Uncle Ralph watching, he had an Inoa Po that came to him in a dream. So these happened, and so we cannot restrict ourselves because Kepua is going to bless you and give you these Inoa Po or inspiration in other methods. But it does tell you, your name can tell your genealogy. Like, I was talking with Auntie Roxy, who's online line right now, and she's sharing with me some names, and then I asked, well, does that mean you're related to this person? And then I talked to Jasmine Waipa, Dr. Jasmine Waipa, who is going to log in today too, and she had shared a name. I suppose this is part of your name. Does that mean you're related to so and so? You know, it's an interesting concept that we do, and some people go, "Oh, that's omana'o." Yeah, it probably is. We try to offer connection, make us feel good to have connections.
Hailama, someone is mentioning here about are you familiar with the practice where like the firstborns of every generation has a name, and then the second born, and if it's a girl it's this, if it's a boy it's that?
Absolutely, that would be a family tradition. So families, and you know, families do all kind of fun things. Like they'll name. I have on my Brown family. So my great grandmother married. Her second husband was Reverend John Mina Brown after her first husband passed away, and one of the children, Clarence Mina Brown, named all of his daughters gals. So it's Gals, and it's a fun family thing that some families do, or they will always name and you know, that's a little tricky. So back on my Portuguese side, they have Frank Silva, Henry Silva. I'm trying to remember the order. Ellen Silva, Irene Silva, Annie Silva. So the next generation, they did the same thing. The hard thing is now, when I'm trying to do genealogy work, I gotta make sure that the article I'm looking up is this Irene Silva. I was doing this last night researching. Is Irene Silva kūpuna Irene Silva, or the kūpuna below her? That's the tricky thing. So, you know, Junior helps us if it's a male, right?
Right.
That's a good question, because you should do that. If that's your family practice, do that.
Great.
Okay,
thanks.
so now I'm going to go to the next one, which is Inoa Ho, commemorative names, names that are inspired by events. So, you know, this is an example that I'm going to say just personally, and please, if your name is Eva or Iniki because of the hurricane, I'm not trying to insult you, but when the hurricanes happened, children were born, Eva and Iniki. It's not always bad. It really isn't. Why? Because our kūpuna did name folks after battles, or they named them after some destruction, sometimes to commemorate this thing happened, and you're not going to forget. I don't necessarily think I would, because I want to make sure. Remember I said earlier about be aware of the kauna, which might be an inferred meaning. I don't think I'd want my child to be like, you know, the hurricane itself. And so Eva, there are a lot of people with the name Eva, but did you name your child because of the hurricane? You know, unless you put more to the name, added more, and there's maybe a punny to it. Then yeah. So understand, I would just beware. I'm not saying don't do it. I would beware. Make sure you know what you're doing when you do it. Lilo and Stitch came out, the movie, and there were so many children born because they saw Lilo. I don't know about Stitch. I know dogs named Stitch. I've seen them. But Lilo. Now, I know a lot of people that were named. I mean, I've heard of a lot of people named after Lilo. I would only caution, because Lilo by itself means also to be lost. And I wouldn't want to lose my child. So I said, be careful, unless you know what you're doing. So they have a great king. His name was Luna Lilo. And I believe there's family connection to Aunty Nāpua. And so Luna Lilo is different. It means so high above in the extreme, you know, and then they named Ali that kind of names. So unless you know what you are doing, be careful. That's all I say.
Right.
Queen Emma's visit to Kalapana, there's a story of her visit there, and she gets to Kalapana, and I have a picture that I took on Mokualo'e. Mokualo'e is known as Coconut Island in Kaneohe Bay. And Mokualo'e has a tree like this. You can see it's lying down. So there's a tree, I believe it's now gone, in Kalapana. When Queen Emma was campaigning, she traveled to Hawaii Island after taking her ceremonial bath in Waiau at the top of Mauna Kea. She makes her way to Puna. She gets to Puna, and they have this tradition of pulling down the coconut tree to honor the ali who is visiting, almost as if nature bows to She got out of the carriage, and the story goes that she thought, hey, I'm no better than these people are. I'm going to help them with their task. So she pulls the tree down, and that tree was to honor her, and then it grew. I remember seeing it, but I think it's gone now. I think the lava took it. I'm not sure. But these sleeping trees were there, and there was Kūamuamu Queen Emma was the name. Kūamuamu Queen Emma. There were battles. Te Paniwai, which is the battle in Yell Valley. So our Hawaiians named battles there. To omana'o. You know, like if you said World War II, everybody has an idea of what that meant. World War I, some maybe Spanish America, or sometimes people. So Hawaiians did the same thing. Kauahipaula was an interesting one because it wasn't a real battle, but it was a riot that happened when Queen Emma did not win the election to become Queen of Hawaii, but Kawal'ala won. And so there was a riot that they took apart the wagon, took it upstairs, threw it out the window of Kauahipaula, and I believe it killed someone. And so Kauahipaula was named after this riot, and there's a chant type song. And then Puana was, I believe, the first battle of Nu'uanupali, as they were coming through, the Kamehameha's forces were coming through Nu'uanu. I believe Puana was the first battle. And it's symbolic because, and I'm not sure if this is why they named it, but Puana means to call out. So this is the first attack. And there were some squabbles on the beach and stuff as they were coming in, but this is supposedly the first bloody battle as they made their way up to the Pali. And then there was a name that is still passed down in the family, and these are folks who are connected to Auntie Jenny Wilson. If you remember Mayor Wilson, and his wife, Auntie Jenny Kuamuamu Wilson, was named, and I believe she was named after kūpuna, who originally had this name, which means literally the gold block of Kamamuamu. And it takes us to about 1825, after the death of Kamehameha II and his wife in England. They put their body in some type of alcohol to preserve their bodies, bringing them back from England all the way around Cape Horn back to Hawaii. And when they get to Hawaii, they arrive and they find they're deceased. According to Auntie Jenny Wilson's story, there's a plaque of gold that was placed on the casket, and that was what it was named after, although the name literally means the gold casket of Kamamuamu, and that's the Queen of Hawaii at that time. So that kūpuna was, I guess, born at that time. The name was carried on. The casket of Kamamuamu, the gold casket. Auntie Jenny then takes on this name. She's born in Molokai on the East End. And she tells this whole story on her interviews at our Bishop Museum, so you can hear this story yourself. Pelekuno, Molokai. She tells the story. And then it's passed on. So when I was a vice principal at Kamehameha, I had a young boy, and this is about, I want to say 10 years ago. His name was Kūamuamu. So when I got to meet the dad, I asked the father who told the story, which he hadn't told the story to his son. So I told the story to the son because, you know, Mahalo Keiko is a special name that's been passed down for generations. Kula Ilua is a family name in my family on my grandmother's side. And if you look at, I believe it is ruling chiefs, the name appears there, and it talks about these band of warriors. When they were first given rifles in Hawaii to fight, these band were the ones who carried the rifles, and they were named after the recoil of the gun. So when the gun is fired, there's a recoil, and that's what they're named after, the recoil of the gun. And that's what Kula Ilua means. And so I have a nephew that was born recently, within the last year, that his mother, who comes from our same line, Nalani Kialaiki, named her son Kula Ilua to commemorate that family. And then Hali'i Maile, I love to tell this story because it talks about the back gate. It's the area of the palace. And according to Charlotte Clark, who's no longer alive, she told us the story of why they named the gate. So that gate is Kalama Hakalele Gate, on the back of the palace. And they also affectionately called it Hali'i Maile because the area of that area is Hali'i Maile. And it was said that it commemorates the laying of Maile down so the ali'i could walk over it. So that's a commemoration name, Inoa Ho. try. Oops, I did that again. Auntie Annie wants to come up. We're going to talk about her previous. And I just want to check. Okay, so Inoa Kuamuamu. So these are interesting stories. Auntie Nāpua used to tell me these stories about people. And she tried to explain it to me. And you understand, I was about 16 years old, or between 16 and 20 when I spoke a lot to Auntie, or 19 when she passed away. So 3 years I'm talking to her a lot. She used to talk about the ability to name someone for it's commemorating them. And it's really interesting because here we always talk about, oh, be respectful, honor people's names and all of this. But there was a little facet of names that sometimes were given that were a little odd to us, we would say in today's Western culture, or maybe made fun of someone else. So the example is, if there was the large man who lived across the street, you might name your child Kekanaka. And so every time you called your child Kekanaka, you're actually kind of poking fun with the man across the street, the Inoa Kuamuamu. And sometimes you would name somebody this name for an opposite effect. We saw this during the plagues in Honolulu, or all over, I should say, not only Honolulu, but I would say during the 1800s, all the way up to the early 1900s. You have families with the name Maivela. Now, I'll be honest with you, the families call themselves Maivela, and that's because they don't want to perpetuate the term Mai. So, but the origination of the name is Maivela. It talks about the fever plague that hit, the flu perhaps, but you know, it's given to them when they took it on to protect them from that. So I always tell the families, you know, there's a lot of names with Mai, Kamai, Maivela. There's a lot of families that carry the name Mai, and I tell them, take the name, own it, because your family was given it. To protect your family. So, you know, you take the full one of the name when you honor the correct pronunciation. And it's hard because some folks will say, oh, we haven't used that as long as my kūpuna, I never heard them say it. But the context tells you what it really is, because there's really no Hawaiian form of kamai. You know, they would say kahele mai, maybe, yes, but, you know, mai is a directional, it means don't. It also means Izopamai. So, and that's something that I can talk with any of you privately on the side. Like I said, it could be used to poke fun or to protect. Family names, given that sickness, I already said, gives a negative effect. And I talked about, they're Kamai, Maivela. Nunuha is another name. Nunuha means to be toki. Nunuha means on a larger scale. And there's a family that still has the name. So I had a discussion with one of the grandchildren. I said, don't worry, you know, don't be ashamed of that name. It's important to you. It's given to your family. Nanakuli has some idea on that too, but I guess in that form, it may not necessarily mean to protect them. It was to tell people of what happened, so it might be more commemorative. The name below, I didn't see. Sorry, you can see my screen, so you can see my regional checking. My next meeting. I have a name there, and I won't go into detail of who it is or anything, but when I was teaching at Commemorative, I always insisted that the Haumana ask their names from their kūpuna, their parents, whoever gave it to them. And the other thing that to know is, where is your piko? When you were born, your piko fell off of your umbilical cord fell off. What did your family do with it? You know, and most of them didn't know, and I bet a lot of you don't know. So if you have the ability to ask what happened to your piko, because then you know when your children come what to do with your piko. Anyway, Hailama V.K.K was a student of mine, and when we were going around the room, he shared the story that when he was born, his father was not there at the birth. And there's a deeper story, but I think that's enough for me to share with you. So mom named him Hailama V.K.K. And it really, if you look at Hawaiian grammatically, it should be Kane Hailama. But mom put it together. Maybe she was upset. Maybe it was a quick, thing, and didn't get to ask someone. But so this boy carries this commemoration, so that anytime this boy is called in front of the father, it reminds the father he was not. And I have more stories next week to tell you about in my personal family of that same type of name given to remind, my kūpuna, what was done in order for this child to be born. Genitalia are a beautiful example of mele and Inoa Kuamuamu. The queen, Anapau, without measure. A halala ikanukumanu, that mai that hangs so low, it dangles like the elephant's trunk or the bird's beak in some cases. In this meaning, it's the beak of the bird. So like a toucan, I guess. and then there's a mele mai. This is Kukui's last mele, I believe, was a mele mai. And I'm not sure if the owner of this is watching. I'm not going to reveal his name because I don't have his permission to. But mai holena, the banana that was allowed for women to eat. I believe it's a real orange type banana. And when he was born, Mrs. Fukui asserted that this would be the Inoa mai. And there's a mele, I believe it was recorded by Inoa Ho, and I have to remember a little bit. But these are beautiful examples. Folks, are you not naming your children with mele mai? If not, why? Sometimes we get so uneasy because we've been colonized so well that we don't even compose mele mai for people. And what would you do if somebody came up to you and composed a mele mai for you? Would you be embarrassed? Or would you be excited about it? So I'm going to tell you a story. I have a friend, and for his 30th birthday, and he had no children yet, for his 30th birthday, I composed a mele mai for him. And I call it Kauahipaula. And that means I call it the carrot of the crop. But it really is when the carrot, when it grows, if you planted carrot, and the top of the carrot peeks out to this little tip of orange, and the rest of the carrot is below the ground. So I named it after that. And so I named it, not that I ever saw his money. I don't have to. I just composed the mele. I promise you, right after that, boom, KKK, you see? And I don't think my wife likes to talk about it because we don't really talk about it, but I composed a mele mai for her too. And so maybe I'll share it next week. I don't have any tune. I forgot the tune for my other friend's mele mai, but there's a mele mai. We should be composing these gentle praise songs. And they're usually done at the birth of the child. And nowadays, with all of this sexual harassment stuff, it's difficult, but it's part of our culture too. So anyway, I'll pass that on to you. And I think we'll stop here because it's 9:57, and then we'll continue the rest of the slides, starting with my Auntie Nāpua, which is an Inoa Kuamuamu and an Inoa Kuamuamu that I'll talk about next week. If there are any last-minute questions, I'll entertain any last-minute questions.
Okay. Actually, yeah, if you have a question, we can entertain it here. I did see a comment on Facebook that I'll read out. It was posted by Bella Mo'opuna. Says, my auntie had to have her original name Okid because my grandmother named her Althea Pearl after a famous athlete at the time, rather than a family name. But my auntie was always sick, and my grandma was told the problem was the name. So my auntie was renamed after her aunt.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect example. And I've heard many families. I bet if you dig deep into your families, Hawaiian and non-Hawaiian, you might find the same. So next week I'm going to talk about one of our ali'i who lived up till 1997, who was born with a name. And if it wasn't for some archives, I wouldn't have found the name and the story. And so I'll share about that ali'i and more. But yes, very common. I bet if you ask it. And I'm hoping that this presentation will instill the desire for you to ask your families about your names. And don't wait until the kūpuna is gone. It's too late.
Yeah. I think one of the things as you were sharing today, that really came to me is to have these conversations with our kūpuna and with our families and our members of our ohana. I mean, because it may get too late, right? And then you didn't have the opportunity to ask those questions and to have those conversations. So that's one big lesson I think I'm hearing through the conversation today.
And even, like I said, your piko. I'm surprised that a lot of people don't know what happened to your piko. And you got to ask your parents before they're gone, because they're probably the one. In one case, I asked, so in my family on the Silva side, which is half Hawaiian Portuguese, they burn their piko. And I was told that that's because our family, prior to becoming Christians, were pele worshippers. And my big tutu would go with her, kūpuna would go by canoe to the volcano once a year and offer. So the family tradition is to burn your piko. And then they either scatter it in the water or bury it after the ashes. But my story is when my piko was to be burned, my tutu burnt it, it zipped up like that. And my grandmother's first idea was, oh, this baby's gonna die young. Because my sister, prior to me, when they burnt, she wouldn't burn. And she said, oh, this girl is gonna be stubborn. And I think she was. I'll tell you this part about my piko. My mother passed away when I just made 4 years of age. My grandmother came to the conclusion, it was the other end of the piko that was going to go. Why do we create these mo'olelo? So whether that was the cause, I'm not sure. But, I remember when and I noticed that with my younger sister, I watched my grandmother burn that piko. And so I understood. Then I started to ask the Silvas on my grandmother's sibling side, what did your mom has passed away and you're the oldest sibling. What did mom do for the younger kids? And she said, oh, we burned ours. I would see it's all in the same family. They don't know why, but I was able to tell them what Tutu told me. So you guys got to find out what happened to your piko. And don't get mad if your parents tell you you threw it away, because that probably was their culture.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like a great follow-up kind of Lei Ānuenue session, is what to do with the piko, or, to how to have those conversations. And the ieve.
I think we celebrated the 5th anniversary of the case.
Yes.
With I think that'd be an awesome thing to bring up too, yes.
Yeah. Any last comments?
I hope to see all of you next week, or more folks. We'll dive in. We'll finish off with Inoa Kuamuamu, and then we'll continue on to some great examples and personal family stories about names that I have, including the Inoa Make.
Okay.
So keep you intrigued.
Great. Mahalo nui e Hailama for sharing today. As always, we learned so much. And I'm bringing up my last few slides here. And as usual, we ask all of you to please go on to our website at kanaiokana.net/survey to help us, serve you better. Give us feedback. What did you think about today's session? Are there any other topics, like maybe the piko discussion or the ieve updates, or any other ones? That would be a good place for you to let us know. Maybe some other topics, maybe some other practitioners you would like us to talk to and to bring on to Lei Ānuenue. So again, go to kanaiokana.net/survey and please share your mana'o there. As always, we're really excited, earlier this week with Kumulili Kala Kame'elehiva. She also did a part 1 and part 2 series on the mo'olelo o haumea. So really, it was a good transition, because as a part of her presentation yesterday, we learned about the childbirthing part of the mo'olelo o haumea and some of the la'au lapa'au. So there are a lot of really great momi of information that came through mo'olelo o haumea. So I encourage all of you to watch the recorded session if you didn't join us on the live. And so here's the link on where you can see not just the upcoming schedule of our Lei Ānuenue episodes, but you can also go and see all of our past episodes. And today is so amazing. We are on episode 54 for Lei Ānuenue. So we're really excited about that and celebrating this achievement. And you know, later today, Aikole will be having their own Olelo Hawaii session with hosted by Ekela Kaniao P.O. Crozier. And one of our good friends, Hailama, is joining us, and that's Manu Boyd. Manu will be joining Hailama on the Aikole, so that should be fun. So that's at 12 o'clock. So come back and join Ekela and Manu on that. Okay. Again, a big mahalo nui loa to all of you for choosing to join us here on Lei Ānuenue. Please stay connected with us and follow us on both Facebook as well as Instagram. And you can follow both Kanayo Kana as well as Hawaii Nui Akea. That's really the best way to get updated information about all the amazing things happening in our communities. So again, follow us on Facebook or on Instagram and stay connected with us that way. Again, we look forward to having you all come back and join us on Tuesday for part 2 of Ola Ka Inoa with Hailama and all the great mo'olelo that he has to share. So aloha no kako, malama.